Benvenuti and welcome back to ORIUNDI Thoughts Part 2. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite region in Italy. Now, given there's 20 regions, it's impossible to go to all these different parts of the region in each one. So I'm just giving it based off of my personal observations and experiences, because some regions I know better than others because I visited more cities or more parts. But having traveled to Italy a lot of times and having the blessing to have visited a lot of the regions, I just wanted to talk today about some of my favorites and all in all, my favorite region in Italy. So I have this chart or this map up on the screen here because these are the regions that I've visited. So if you look up here in the north, right, you have Trentino-Alto Adige, Veneto, Lombardia, Piemonte, Liguria, Emilia-Romagna, Toscana, Umbria, Lazio, Campania, and Sicily. So I think it's a little bit over half the regions, whatever it is, 11 or something like that. Missing, the two small ones in the north, some of the central and southern parts, and then I've never been to Sardinia. But point being, I've visited a lot of different areas in Italy, albeit some of the regions, it only just means one city. Some other regions I've spent a significant amount of time in, and I've gotten to know a lot better. For example, Trentino Alto Adige, Sicily, Tuscany, those are some of the cities that I've been around to multiple different parts and have had multiple different experiences in to pull from, both from childhood, from adulthood, various vacations, etc., etc. I will say though, the place that I probably know the best in Italy is Milan. The city that I know the best is Milan because I studied there. So compared to any other city in Italy, that's definitely the one that I know the most. Even if I've been back to a couple of cities a few times, Milan is the one that I lived in. But yeah, I mean, each of the cities has their appeal, right? You have a lot of the northern cities with the alpine views. It's really pretty. It's a lot more, I would say, European. And what I mean by that is there's a lot more of the similarities to the rest of Europe versus even some of the central parts in the southern half that are more what Italy is seen as in the media, in my opinion, which is Rome, Amalfi Coast, Sicily, especially recently in modern history. I just completed a trip in Sicily. I got to visit a lot of parts of it. I'd say throughout Sicily, I visited a lot of the major areas. The northwest part, a lot of parts on the south coast, and a lot of parts on the east coast. The central areas of Sicily, there's only so much to do, so I've only been to a couple places around there. And then some of these places I've been more when I was younger, so I have, I guess, limited memory on which one was really my favorite. But I think my favorite's gonna catch some people by surprise. If you couldn't tell, right behind me is actually a picture of the region that I would say is my favorite. Now, that's my favorite at this point in time. I still have a lot of regions to visit, and I still have a lot of regions to revisit and visit new areas of those regions. But this picture behind me is actually from the province of Bolzano in the region of Trentino-Alto Adige, which is this region right up here, right near the border with Austria, and part of the beautiful Dolomite Alps, and where a large part of the Milano Cortina Olympic Games, Winter Olympic Games, were held recently. And I don't feel like that's a common answer. A lot of people will say, oh, my favorite region is Tuscany or Sicily or, Puglia or something like that, right? Those are a lot of the ones you hear more common lately. So mine's a little bit unique, but I think what I do in Oriundi a lot of times is deal with identity. And there is the identity of being Italian but being American, the identity of being Italian but being Brazilian, or having Italian roots, or having Italian heritage but living in this other place, or having these immigration stories, or identity crises, or whatever. I feel like Trentino Alto Adige is one of the regions of Italy that is a walking identity crisis. It's literally a border region, especially the north half of the region has, it's multiple languages. It's Italian, also kind of the regional dialects, German, because that a lot of people are ethnically Germanic in the area due to borders, especially in this case being not necessarily ethnic, but just a border of a country. And then there's the Ladin community, which is another ancient population that speaks their own language. So you have those three languages floating around, right? Ladin is spoken by a very small percentage of the population. So it really is English and German, especially the further north you go, the more German speakers and ethnic German people that you get, to the point where they literally have separate schools for both the German speakers and the Italian speakers, almost as if you're in like Quebec in Canada, where you have the French schools and the English schools or whatever. They have that same concept there. You're allowed to go to school based on what your mother tongue is, which I think is really cool. Obviously, was a point of divisiveness for a long time, as that region's a border region, and there's been a lot of conflicts over the past couple centuries. But regardless, I've been there during the spring and I've been there during the Christmas markets, and maybe I'm a little biased because I had such a great time in both periods. Visiting cities like Trento, Bolzano, Bressanone, Merano, just a lot of beautiful cities. It's a well connected region. The train system is said to be the best in that region, and from personal experience, I would agree. I truly do think that it's a phenomenal example for the rest of Italy in terms of organization and infrastructure, which I'm not going to get into the craziness of politics and all the different stuff like that. This is just what I saw and what I appreciated. I enjoy the cultural combinations, I guess. I think it's really cool to see where the Germanic culture meets the Italic or Italian culture. That really shows a lot in the foods, which in my personal opinion, there's a lot of Germanic foods that have been Italianized and made better. So maybe I'm just biased, but I think that's helped a lot. And they're very interesting foods. They're mountain foods, a lot of heavy foods, cheeses, a lot of great wines in the region. So the food is good. I mean, I think there's better food regions in Italy. I do. But, I don't think you're going to go wrong in most of the regions where you get the local specialties that you're going to eat amazingly, especially going during the Christmas markets, getting truly all the cold weather specialties was a really cool experience. I've had great experiences with people's, I guess, behavior up there. A lot of times the north, especially the far north, gets the impression or the stereotype that people are cold, they're not very nice. I've never really had an issue with that for the most part. I mean, here and there, sure, but for the most part, I've been treated well as a tourist. I think maybe because it's not a common area for tourists to go that aren't skiing. Outside of the Christmas markets, I guess it's touristy. But even then, a lot of the Christmas markets were local tourists, like Italians from maybe other regions. Local meaning people from Italy, I guess. But yeah, the country as a whole has a lot to offer. Obviously, you have the seas, the mountains, the valleys, just beautiful panoramic views. I think the Dolomites are the most beautiful mountain range I've ever seen. So just having that around at all times is phenomenal. It's really just unbelievable. It's a complete blessing. And I mean, you can kind of see behind me, this view is just, it's amazing. So the snow-capped mountains, the green valleys. So to wrap it all up, I'm curious to know what your favorite region is in Italy for now, because that can always change. I have a lot of life ahead of me to explore other parts of Italy, but I've had so many good experiences in that region, and it's beautiful. The mountains are phenomenal, although it's landlocked. There's also lakes, there's other bodies of water, rivers. It's very cool culturally, very interesting, very intriguing. A lot of curious aspects. The history is very, very deep there, especially since it's among the Dolomites and it has a lot of ancient populations that pass through there. So Trentino-Alto Adige at the moment would be my favorite region in Italy out of all of the ones you can see highlighted in red that I visited. Although I do have love for all the different regions in their different ways, I would pick that one for now. Have you ever been to this region? Let me know. And until next time.